Welcome to our Digital Google panel and celebrating the International Day of Peace plus Social Good. We are very excited that everyone's here to join us today. And the discussion will center around this year's theme, which is Partnerships for Peace, Dignity for All. And this conversation, we want to talk about Sister Cities International. And let me introduce myself. I am Mary Kane. I am President and CEO of Sister Cities International. Sister Cities is an organization that was started by President Dwight Eisenhower in 1956 to bring communities together to get over issues that they had post World War II. And right now we consist of 545 cities that have 2,100 partnerships in 145 countries. So we are all about peace. Our mission is to build peace, one individual, one community at a time. And today we're going to talk about that since it is the International Day of Peace. And we're looking forward to our panelists. We have Mira Edelstein, who is with the Jordan River Projects. She is the coordinator, and she is with EcoPeace Middle East. We have Anne-Louise Colgan, and she is the head of the Global Peace Building Center at the U.S. Institute of Peace. And we have Zana Marinovic. She is with the Women's Democracy Network. She is a fellow, and she is also a parliamentarian in Bosnia and also an actress. So let's start with Mira. Can you give us some background and why you are supporting the International Day of Peace today?
Sure, thank you. First of all, thank you very much for having me and EcoPeace Middle East on this terrific broadcast on this very important day. EcoPeace Middle East, some might know us by our former name of Friends of the Earth Middle East. We actually work towards peace really 365 days a year and not just one, but let's celebrate it today. We're a regional organization in the Middle East. We're comprised of Israelis, Jordanians, and Palestinians, not only environmentalists, but also other experts in the field. We have offices in Tel Aviv, Amman, and Bethlehem, and we work mostly on our shared water resources, but not only water. Today we're getting more into energy issues. What I'd like to say that is unique about our organization is, first of all, that we're trilateral. We're really the only trilateral or regional organization, sadly, in this region, and we also work in two ways that I hope I have a chance to explain also a little later in the context of Sister Cities. Is we work both in a top-down and a bottom-up methodology. We work in advocacy issues. We do research. We do reports. We have many meetings with our decision makers, etc., etc. But I think the strength of our organization is really the synergy that comes from the bottom up and from the people-to-people activities and projects that we have that really enhance all those advocacy efforts that we have going. And it's really the combination of those that we feel has been effective. And you won't read about it probably in the news, because unfortunately in the news today is a lot of, and every day are really the hard things, the hard political issues that we're dealing with. But there are many people-to-people cooperative efforts and even solutions, especially to our acute water problems, that are moving forward, and we're very proud to be.
Hi, Mira. It's kind of.
Excuse me.
Mira. Hi, this is
Yes.
Mary. We're losing your connection a little bit. So can we come back to you in a little bit?
Sure.
And thank you so much, because Sister Cities International is proud to be a partner with EcoPeace Middle East, because what you're doing as far as trilateral relationships are exactly what needs to be done, bringing people together from the ground up. So now I'd like Anne-Louise Colgan to give us some background as to what you're doing with the Global Peace Building Center and how you're supporting the International Day of Peace.
Well, thank you, Mary. I hope everybody can hear me okay. I'm really delighted to be here with you today. I work at the U.S. Institute of Peace, which is this country's global conflict management center. And we are this year celebrating our 30th anniversary year. The U.S. Institute of Peace, our entire mission is to build peace. We do this through direct engagement in conflict zones. We work in about 24 conflict zones around the world. But we also provide resources and analysis and education to those who are working for peace. And part of that includes public education work here in the US. Indeed, it's part of our original mandate from Congress back in 1984 when we were created, that we would help educate the American public about peace building, about the fact that it is possible, that it is happening, and it is something that we can all engage in, and in fact we should. And so this year, to celebrate our 30th anniversary year, we created the Peace Day Challenge to turn the Day of Peace into a day of action for peace. Because we all know that the news headlines can get pretty depressing. We hear a lot about violence around the world and a lot about violence here at home. And we wanted to raise the visibility of the day and champion those who are working for peace in really difficult circumstances all of the time, but also help people to feel empowered and to take action for peace themselves, and to enable people to have something bigger than themselves of which they are a part on this day. And as Mira points out, this is not just about one day of action, it's about starting something today or celebrating something today that is sustained far beyond the day. But we wanted this to really be a day of action. And so we are very proud to have engaged hundreds of schools and organizations and communities, and actually many millions of people all around the US and all across the world today on social media using the hashtag Peace Day Challenge, and people are sharing actions that they're taking to build peace. This is not just a matter of forwarding things to your friends, it's a matter of saying, here is one step that I will take today, or one thing that I do in my day job already, or one thing that I will do with my family this evening that will enable me to say that I'm a peace builder. And so this is all about this theme of partnerships, about enabling people to take action, to connect with each other, to create this global patchwork of activity focused on peace building. And so I'm really excited to be here today to make some new friends here on this call, and to talk about the ways in which we can make a big splash today, but then sustain it beyond the day, and make peace something really practical and actionable and something powerful that we can all play a part in.
Anne-Louise, thank you very much. Wow, that is terrific, and I'm very excited, and I can't wait to hear some of the stories that you're going to receive from your followers. So now it's Zana Maranovic's turn, and Zana is coming to us from Bosnia, where she is a parliamentarian. She is also an actress and has played in a film that probably a lot of us have seen, and that's In the Land of Blood and Honey. So, Zana, can you tell us why you're supporting International Peace Day today?
Hi. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to take part in this wonderful panel. I'm honored to be here with all of you today. As you mentioned, I'm a member of the House of Representatives, the upper house of the Parliament of the Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina. I was elected into Parliament in September 2014, so I'm very new to politics. I've had a long career in acting, as you mentioned, in Bosnia and worldwide, and I'm probably most known for the lead role I played in the film In the Land of Blood and Honey, which was Angelina Jolie's directorial debut. It was the socially engaged artistic projects and films like this particular one that Angelina Jolie directed that have inspired me to take the steps into politics. And although I do believe that art can influence change, motivate, and bring about policies, it is the politicians that create those policies. And in Bosnia, I just felt they weren't doing a great job. So, as I said, I'm in Parliament now. I'm still finding the best way to affect change and create policies. But coming from a mixed marriage, which means that I'm in part Muslim and part Orthodox, or as we call it, Bosnian Muslim and Bosnian Serb, which were the sides conflict, I felt it was something that I would need to change.
Okay, Zana? Sorry, my computer just froze up a little bit there. Can you hear me? Okay. Oh, Zana, you froze.
Yes.
Sorry, I think I did too. I don't know what happened. But let's go on to our questions, because really when we're talking about an International Day of Peace, we're talking about real people, people that are on the ground. So, Mira, why do you believe subnational diplomacy and citizen engagement are an important tool when we're working towards international peace? And I'll throw that question out to everyone, but we can start with Mira.
Well, you know, if I understand what you mean by subnational diplomacy as basically being, you know, track 2 diplomacy, where we're not talking so much with governments, but maybe, you know, more with municipalities, with mayors, with the leaders of our cities that are more in touch with, you know, the actual people and people-to-people activities, then I don't think that there's anything that can really replace that. Governments, you know, they write treaties, they make peace sometimes, but peace is really made between people, and also people don't even really have to wait for peace treaties to be signed. There is so much to do beforehand. There are so many seeds to be sown beforehand, relationships to be made, projects, you know, to be mutually beneficial. Projects that are mutually beneficial to be identified before, you know, top diplomacy kicks in, and those are the kind of things that, you know, that EcoPeace Middle East works on, and they're so important. I'm just thinking of some examples where, you know, we can cooperate over trying to clean up a transboundary river. Something that, you know, should maybe, you know, politicians see that it should be put on hold until we have a peace treaty signed where we say we should take care of our water issues. But no, you know, people need water to drink, they need it to irrigate, they need it for recreation. This issue should not wait. It should not, you know, we have a term, it should not be held hostage to any political process. So it's this subnational diplomacy that, you know, we are really fostering every day in our work.
Thank you very much, Mira, and you're absolutely right. I think that if people come together, they can influence what politicians ultimately do by their vote and standing up. Now, Anne Louise, can you tell us why what you believe about subnational diplomacy and citizen engagement, and how you do that work, especially in the global peace building?
Absolutely, and I would echo a lot of what Mira said about the importance of grassroots engagement. We know that peace building happens in communities across the world in places where we work, even when it's disconnected from what's happening government to government. And indeed, it's incredibly important that individuals and families and communities are engaged in peace building, in preventing conflict from becoming violent in the first place, and then in helping to resolve conflict with as little violence as possible if it has already crossed that line. The Global Peace Building Center works mainly, as I've said, in public education here in the US, and I'm incredibly proud to say that we actually focus mainly on middle school and high school students and teachers. There are not that many organizations that are as committed to working with young people as we are here at USIP, where we have developed a curriculum focused on peace building skills for kids, for students, for teachers, so that people can be empowered by the skills to transform conflict into not just something that can be managed, but something that's an opportunity for positive change. And we believe very strongly in engaging people in the act of peace building, but also making connections between people here in this country and people around the world. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we know that it can be very discouraging for people to watch the news every day and see that there's violence raging, often in communities here at home, certainly in communities around the world. But the stories of peace building that are happening behind the headlines are very, very important for people to hear and to feel connected with. And so those are the kinds of things that are happening at the community level that don't get the attention that they deserve, but that are actually the stepping stones on which peace is built. They're the foundation on which lasting change can be built, and on which peace can be built. And so we think it's very, very important to give people not only the knowledge, but also the skills to manage conflict, to build peace, both here in the US and in the conflict zones in which USIP works.
Anne-Louise, thank you very much, and you're absolutely right. It's going to start from the ground up, but also young people, because they're going to go home and tell their parents they need to do this. And we do not get the attention from the media on the good stories. It's only on the bad stories. So let's go to Zana, and hopefully she could get us some attention as far as International Peace Day and talking about some good stories.
Well, I think Bosnia and Herzegovina is a perfect example of the Dayton Peace Agreement, which ended the conflict in the 90s. In fact, did end there, but it also divided Bosnia into two entities. And this fall, it will be 20 years since the Dayton. So today, instead of striving for peace and tolerance and reconciliation of its peoples, ruling parties of Bosnians push for nationalism and are supported by politics from the neighboring countries and other foreign influence. So you have citizens of Republic of Srpska, which is one of the two entities, are never encouraged to maintain relationships with the citizens of the Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina, the other entity of Bosnia, and vice versa. So we rarely meet, we rarely communicate. This is a prejudice is created, and how and why nationalism is on the rise. So I believe that building ethnic, religious, and cultural bridges of peace begins with each of us. In Bosnia, we have to start building bridges all over again. Therefore, subnational diplomacy and citizen engagement is really crucial. And as you say it in sister cities, we need to rebuild our old bridges one citizen, one community at a time. Really, when towards international peace, I believe is the same. Each individual plays a very important role. So responsibility, opportunity, and hope lies within each one of us individually.
Sana, I think you're absolutely right, and I think people don't realize how much power they do have. They have the power of voting and for speaking out and making their views known. And we'll go on to question 2, which is, how do you think new technology factors into this equation, and can digital connections actually replace real people, face-to-face communication, or does it help it? What are your what have you found, Mira, in your work?
Well, you know, first of all, this is amazing technology as we speak, you know, the four of us, and it really is nice to connect us face to face. Technology certainly has, you know, a place in connecting people, in getting information and knowledge across. But, you know, I imagine you're going to hear this from all of us, that, you know, there's nothing that can really replace face-to-face, people-to-people activities. Relationship building is about people doing things together, about going places together, visiting together, sitting together, talking, sharing ideas. I mean, I think maybe, you know, before, you know, some kind of meeting, and certainly after some kind of face-to-face meeting, I think the technology-oriented issues are crucial, but I definitely don't ever see it replacing, the warmth that you feel coming out of a meeting where you've just, you had a revelation that you are seeing the same, you're seeing the same river in front of you that you want to work on, and that can only happen, on site and with the people. So, it's a combination, like I said before, even with our methodology of top down, bottom up, it's a combination of technology, but of course, on site and face-to-face meetings that can't be exchanged. That's my view.
And you're right, Amira. I think everybody would probably agree with that, because there isn't anything like just sitting across the dinner table and talking to people and talking about their families and how they view the world. We know that technology will enhance this. What would Anne-Louise tell the leaders that are going to be meeting at the UN? What would you tell them about peace building, or what are your thoughts about telling our leaders? How do we get a hold of them and tell them this? Mm-hmm. And I guess technology is one way we could actually do this.
Yeah, I mean, I won't repeat what Mira said because I agree with all of it. There is no substitute for face-to-face connection. It's what kind of makes this work, gives it its power. At the same time, I think we have a great opportunity with technology to bridge gaps that we can't always do in real life. And so it's possible for us to make connections between people from very, very different parts of the world through technology like this today on this Google Hangout. But I think in general, the power of technology for peace building is something that is just beginning to be understood. And USIP has a program here that has actually spun off into its own organization called Peace Tech that is looking at exactly this, at the ways in which the new tools that we have in the new media and new technology that exist today, the ways in which those can be harnessed for peace building. So how can you crowdsource information so that we can better understand where conflict is about to become violent? Or how can you help to build peace in communities where they rely a lot on local radio or on text messages? And so that's an effective way to get information out. And so I think we need to be aware that technology can be used for good and for bad, but it is increasingly possible for us, as we understand more and more the great potential of technology, to harness it to connect people, to build peace, to give them skills, to give them tools to make positive change. And in terms of reaching world leaders, they're meeting at the UN right now, and the Sustainable Development Goals are being launched, which for the first time have a goal that is dedicated to a focus on peace. And it's looking at key questions like access to justice and how do we build more resilient states that aren't as fragile, that aren't as susceptible to violence. And I think this focus on peace gives us a great opportunity for people all around the world to raise their voices and say, yes, this is what matters. And so we rely on you, we vote for you as our leaders in the hope and expectation that this is an agenda that you will carry forward for us. Because every single global challenge that we're facing today is made worse by violent conflict. And so we need to start looking at the roots of this violence and at ways in which we can build peace. And then there's a responsibility and an opportunity for all of us to take steps at the local level to improve our communities and more broadly to improve the world.
Oh, Anne-Louise, that was fantastic. Thank you so much. I just, can you let us know how we can find out more about Peace Tech? I think that's a wonderful program. We'd love to get it out to our members.
Absolutely, and Peace Tech has been very supportive of our Peace Day Challenge. So if you visit the hashtag Peace Day Challenge, you'll see some of the creative ways in which they're marking the day, as well as many, many others from USIP's networks all around the world.
Terrific, thank you. And Zana, we all know about technology, and I'm sure you're very familiar with it, but that doesn't replace actual people-to-people. And what do people tell you about, since you're an elected leader, what do people say to you about peace building?
Well, I agree. Well, first of all, considering technology, I agree with Mira. I think it's about once you have made a connection person to person, it's about maintaining that connection. That proves to be even nowadays with my voters, it proves to be important to us. you can communicate very quickly to a very large number of people what you're doing at that moment. And you become more aware, they become more informed about things that you're doing. So it's especially with social media, I call it like my own private CNN. You can do very good things. You can also misuse it, which is not something, obviously, that I like to see happen, but it is something I'm sure that needs to be worked on in order to ask the question of how to prevent it. But I think it's Bosnia is a very lively place. The people are very vibrant, dynamic, and are very happy that there's peace for 20 years now. And I'm sure that we'll do everything within our power to maintain that peace. Every tool, every advice, every suggestion, every care and that anyone really, it just gives us hope and support and is very important to us. So I want to thank you all for what you're doing within, not only during this panel, but at your work and your job. It's very important to everyone, and we would know.
I'm sorry. Zana, thank you very much. I'm sure you get direct feedback when things happen and what your constituencies want. And it's really good to hear what you have to say about that, because you're in a leadership position that can actually make a difference like this. We can put all the programs together and get it out to people, but we count on people getting that word to you. And we're very happy that Bosnia has been peaceful for the past 20 years, and we hope that continues for forever. So as we wrap up, if anybody has any other things that they would like to say as far as the International Day of Peace and Social Good, and I have to say, Social Good, you guys are wonderful for putting this together, and over at the United Nations Foundation. We very much appreciate it, because we actually don't have this kind of technology that you do, and partnering always makes it a lot better. So, Mira, final comment?
Yes, I've been wanting to tell Zana this the whole time. I don't know if she's aware or if anyone else is aware, but EcoPeace Middle East does have a few programs now around the world. Our famous Good Water Neighbors project, which is a project that brings communities from both sides of the border that share a water source together to work on that water source, politics aside, at least for now. And we're actually working in Bosnia as well. Bosnia has a mini Good Water Neighbors project working on the Spreča River, Spreka? I don't remember how to pronounce it, but we have ethnic communities from both sides of the river in two areas, in the east and the west, if you look at Tuzla, and the east and the west there. And right now, I mean, this past year, it was youth that was involved in the project, and next year it's going to be mayors that are going to be involved, hopefully, in the project if we get funding. And we're backing them up, and again, we're trying this, people-to-people, grassroots methodology wherever we want, wherever we can, wherever there is a little interest even. I mean, the schools, believe it or not, the ones that we chose, the ones that our partners in Bosnia chose, the Center for Ecology and Energy, they dared to agree to this project. And they saw that after 1 year, it did some good. There were meetings between kids and between parents and between teachers from both sides of the ethnic divide, the same way that we did here in Israel, Palestine, and Jordan. And they want to continue. And that says a lot, I think, for, again, the grassroots way of approaching peace.
Yes, that's congratulations. That's wonderful. Wow.
Well, congratulations to Bosnia for taking this up as well.
And Anne Louise, how about any final thoughts on your part?
I'd like to thank you for organizing this and giving me the opportunity to come and be on this wonderful panel of strong women who are working for peace. I would simply say that the U.S. Institute of Peace is really proud to be this country's peace-building institution. And we're not necessarily terribly well known here at home, which we're working on, but we are well known in the conflict zones in which we work hard with partners who are on the ground dealing with violence every day. And we created the Peace Day Challenge precisely because we wanted to raise the visibility of this day and turn it into a day of action and give everybody an opportunity to participate. So please take an action or share something you're already doing and use our hashtag Peace Day Challenge. But the important thing, as we've all said throughout, is that this work doesn't start or end today, that it continues beyond today, and that we continue to engage, to find ways to learn about other people in other places, to find ways to build the more peaceful world that we all believe is possible, and that we all believe that we can have a hand in shaping. So thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Anne-Louise. Sana, a few parting words?
I think I sort of said my parting words, which is to thank you all for all the wonderful work that you're doing. And as I said, in Bosnia, we know how important that work is, and we've witnessed it for the past 20 years. I've heard about the projects that you've all done. I maybe don't know enough yet about it. I'm sure I will. But it's really important that people, like in Bosnia, like elsewhere in the world, find the common ground and find what connects them rather than what separates them. And then, hopefully, by working together to bring about something wonderful, we can come to appreciate each other and appreciate our differences.
Donna, Anne-Louise, Mira, thank you very much. And Mira, I have to, and Anne-Louise, I have to echo the fact that Sister Cities International isn't necessarily well known here. It is a bit, but definitely throughout the world, people in cities and communities know who their sister cities are and work with them on a regular basis. So congratulations on everything you're doing, and look forward to celebrating the International Day of Peace and promoting this year's theme, Partnerships for Peace and Dignity for All. Thank you.